Hello everybody and welcome back. My name is Birdcatcher and this is Bastion. Now, we're gonna just ignore this little pipe, but later in the game we're gonna come back to that. It's really very interesting. What it does is it warps you into a little zone that allows you to grind up all the bits and pieces that you collect for money and upgrade all of your weapons. But there's also more to it than just that. You think, oh, this is the little side area, use it to grind up, whatever, who cares? But what it's really good for is it reveals all of the backstory, because those things are the portals into the memory of each character, and Rux will tell you their stories, he'll tell you their secrets, and you get to learn a whole lot about all these characters that you've grown to love. So here we are, we're going to pick the memorial, and this is basically the achievements in the game. The achievements also give you cash to upgrade your weapons with, and I think I only have one Virgil that I can use right now, which would be the Valediction, which is just unlock the achievements. But the other achievements are more or less exactly what you would expect. It's like kill 500 enemies using the shotgun, block 800 points of damage, or whatever. So we're gonna get the Lunkhead Liquor because I love countering and all these others. While normally I would buy all this stuff, since I'm trying to be fairly frugal to minimize the amount of money I need to grind up, I'm just going to buy what I immediately need, which is going to be things for the hammer and the bow. So now we're going to go over, we're going to apply these upgrades to those various weapons, and I have no money for either of them. Okay. Well, in that case, let's just pop over to the distillery, equip our Lunkhead Liqueur, and get out of here. At this point in the game, we have a lot of really great options. We have 3 whole proving grounds we can go to, but I'm going to definitely go to Bullhead Court because this is my absolute favorite proving ground of all of them. This one is the Shield Proving Ground. That's right, you don't get weapons here. You have to counter everything to get through this level. And you all know by this point that I really love the shield, and I love countering everything to get through this game. So this is just how I actually learned how to counter things in the first place. I remember when I first played through this game, I was absolutely terrible at countering things. But faced with this proving ground, I quickly had to learn how to actually do it. And once you actually can do it, it quickly becomes one of the most important weapons you actually have in this game, because you can also use the shield to help you line up attacks with the ranged weapons. You can do lots of things that are very important and high skilled. And I say high skilled very deliberately because this is the only proving ground where you can't just run home when things get too tough and upgrade your weapon. Nope. You cannot upgrade the shield in this game. You are limited purely to your own skill and reaction time. And that, I think, is just great. That being said, this one is very, very hard if you don't know all of these enemies' patterns. And if I remember correctly, I think for first place you have to get hit less than 5 times or something like that. Maybe even lower. I think it might be even as low as 3 times. So as you can see, I have already disqualified myself from getting the first place and potentially from the second place now, because I think that second place is less than 10. Also, I hate countering squirts. They have a very, very erratic pattern. And that's because you counter them based on the sound that they make rather than a visual cue, which is completely different from any other enemy in the game, but I guess they have to be special. So this is the last wave of enemies, and based on how they spawn, you can get very unlucky and take a hit there. Like, when I was countering that turret, an enemy spawned, and I ended up locking on to the enemy while I was meaning to continue to block the shots from the turret. And that's just what happens. But this guy, this is where it gets really tough if you're not prepared to deal with him. And the reason being, while it is in fact possible to whittle this guy down entirely with your shield, it's much easier to just let them fall off the edge. That being said, it's really not all that easy, because you have to really understand exactly how it's going to move towards you and how to get it around these frickin' obstacles, of which I'm having a terrible time. And you think, I just fell down there. He's gonna fall down there. Nope. And you think he's gonna fall down there. Nope. He's gonna just make it. There we are. So I took a lot of hits there. And you also have to be very careful of the slime trail that it leaves, because every time you step on those, you take another hit. And you have to be very careful to not fall off the ledge. So that one is definitely the hardest one in the entire challenge. But if at first you don't succeed, try again. So the way to counter the turrets is you just put up the shield right before the pellet hits you, and then it goes right back and hits them. This one is just 2 turrets, and the challenge with that is making sure that you don't get between them and one hits you in the back while the other one hits you in the front. This guy, you just block the second he starts to attack you because he attacks so quick. He's down. 3 turrets now. Same thing, just make sure that they are all on the same side as you, and you won't have any trouble getting them at all. But sometimes you have to get a little close. And sometimes you wind up in a really weird angle like this one, where you kind of can't tell how soon it's going to hit you. So you have to get it a little closer than you want, just like that, and then counter it back. Again, I'm at a weird angle, so there we are. Took care of business. Now here, if you can manage to get them to spawn, just like I did, it becomes very easy, because then just get close to one and not the other, and then you just have to deal with one. So these guys have a very slow and deliberate animation. You wait for them to arch forward slightly with their hammer before it hits you, and then you counter and you can take care of them. This is in contrast to a lot of the other gas fellows you see on this stage, which have very quick animations. He's down. Next wave. Ah yes, 1 turret. This one rapid fires at you, so you have to counter and then keep your shield up. 1 gas fellow with the quick animations, you just block as soon as you see him lift up. A very challenging wave where you have 2 rapid fire turrets, so you have to make sure that you only trigger one at a time or manage to get them both on the same side. That way you don't have to deal with, hopefully, too many bullets flying at you, and you can just counter them one at a time. Again, kind of a weird angle when they're to the lower right of you. Squirts. What you do, you wait for that little sound effect, and then there's a certain tempo. I can't really describe it, you just have to kind of block enough of them to where you can feel it. But it's entirely based on the gap between the attack and the sound of the charge up being the same amount of time. And then you block in between, or in the middle of that gap. So take out the remaining of the squirts, and now you have to fight a enemy with a really fast animation. So be very prepared as soon as that last squirt goes down to react quickly. Another one. Oh, I took a hit there. This guy also has a very quick animation, and I'm quickly losing control of this round. So I managed to get very lucky with that counter there. But I need to get some space, get them all kind of lined up where I want them to be so that I can deal with them at my leisure. And now, for the scumbag, who happens to be a really big scumbag about this whole thing. Again, the basic idea is to lure them to the edge and make sure that you don't walk into their scummy puddles. But that can be very challenging, especially when you don't have a very good grasp of the obstacles here. So I'm trying to use these gaps between the cages, and it's not working all that well, but it's very clear where the delimiter between falling off to your death and staying on the platform happily is. So that's why I choose to use these ones, but this is exactly where you want them to be, and taken care of, 1 hit taken, definitely within the tolerance. I guess maybe it was 3 or 5, I don't remember exactly. And let's get out of here. The prizes for that one is just a bunch of cash. Right now I think I have close to 3,000 just from finishing that Proving Grounds, and believe me, it can take a very long time to get a substantial amount of cash. So that's another really great reason why I like that Proving Ground so much. And it's kind of nice because you can put those dollars towards whatever upgrades and whatever weapons you want instead of a very specific one that is focused on by that particular Proving Ground. So we're going to go ahead and increase our uppercut, I think. I think that's more useful than the focus attack because I like to more or less be on the move. And with the sail hammer, I understand that it gets more powerful when you're stationary, but I like to move things along. And for the breaker, just the draw speed, I think. I kind of like having it draw faster than penetrating a whole bunch of targets because you rarely get your enemies lined up that much in this game. So now we're going to go ahead and take on the scrap musket Proving Ground. So we're going to shoot a whole bunch of gourds. Contrary to what Ruck says right here, you don't actually get hurt if you touch the gourds in this level, which is very important because you have to maneuver in between them a lot. So even though he says it feels like you're picking up broken glass when you try to pick them up, it actually does not hurt you. So what you're supposed to do is knock them off the cliff. While it is possible, indeed, to destroy them, you're much better off shooting them off the cliff and using the knockback instead to help you out. The other big part of this proving ground is making sure that when you do shoot, you position everything in a way that will make it easier for grouping them up for future shots. And while the spread can be very helpful, sometimes if you're right next to the gourds, you might miss them. Like where you think you're just going to hit it out of the corner of your gun, you might not. And that's because while it disperses quite a bit far away from you, right next to the gun, it actually does not disperse a whole lot. You're looking at maybe about a 35 degree to 45 degrees dispersal. So, funnily enough, I actually almost got first prize in one try, which is, you know, not something I'm not going to complain about. But I do need to head back and actually upgrade this scrap musket, so that'll be very, very simple and straightforward. So pick up the something course and head over to the forge. I'm going to be looking mostly for things that increase knockback at the exchange of range, so I want spread, absolutely here. I'm not aiming for things that are really far away. I want to hit as many things as possible, and definitely want the greater knockback. I think... Yeah, those don't appear until you actually get more materials, and possibly, I think... maybe even you have to get to a certain point of the game before they'll even appear. So back to the proving ground. This one should be absolutely no problem if I was able to get almost to first prize without any upgrades in the scrap musket whatsoever. So here we're going to actually use the ability to navigate through them, take out as many as we can, just like that. And as you can see, the greater knockback and the greater spread are helping out quite a bit. But I think that the lack of range actually might be punishing me a little bit because I'm not hitting them as far as I expected I would be. The ones that are right next to me I'm hitting very, very nicely, but the ones that are far away aren't getting pushed around very much at all. That being said, we definitely have this one, and we're going to take it. Okay, I thought I hit both of them there, but that's fine. We're going to be one shot under, and that was a very, very easy, gentle, straightforward proving ground. Some of them are really hard, like the war machete and the shield. Some of them are very easy. With that, I think we're done for the day. Thank you for watching. We'll take on the very difficult sail hammer challenge next.